And we're back with more of the Shacknews Awards 2023. We got all the good waifus that you can handle in this
Here we
category.
go.
Yeah, here we go. It's the best NPC of the year, and if you can't tell, we're really going through it here at the Shacknews Awards. Let's get through these nominations, then you guys can talk about it. Maybe some of you can declare your everlasting love for a character. We'll see.
We're already off the rails.
No, I knew this was going to happen. So yeah, here are the nominees. Turgle, Star Wars Jedi, Survivor, Shadowheart, Donovan's waifu, He Can Fix Her, Baldur's Gate 3, Jill Warwick, Warwick, my bad. Jill Warwick from Final Fantasy 16. Genki from Marvel Spider-Man 2. Ashley Graham from Resident Evil 4 Remake. And Uncle Hinti from Thirsty Suitors. Congratulations to all the nominees, but there can only be one Ichiban Goth waifu for Donovan. Anyway, let's start with Turgle.
So normally Sam would be here to speak to the merits of Turgle. Sam wrote an entire article dedicated to Turgle being awesome. It's weird because he's annoying in a lot of ways, but he's also a really fun character. He's a testament to the imagination that Star Wars can still have. And in fact, that whole Star Wars Jedi series is just a testament to all the good things that Star Wars can still be. But Turgle stands out because he's like a fun little mischievous frog guy who gets into some trouble and Cal has to help him out of it. And he's so much fun in that little hub area where you get to talk to him and he's trying to come up with some new ideas to grift the nearby bounty hunters. And it's just like he's just a lot of fun. I love Turgle a lot. Sam can probably speak more eloquently to him than I can, but every time I ran into him, he put a smile on my face. He's one of the more fun characters you'll meet in Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
I like how you said it's all the good things Star Wars could be.
You meet all manner of creature in Star Wars, and Respawn, to their credit, came up with a lot of really original character ideas. Whether it's Turgle or whether it's like Monk, the two-headed bartender, or like it's the cool kind of stuff that you expect to see out of Star Wars, and they made the most of that license. I think, and Turgle like stands above them all. So,
and this is now the second game in this franchise, right? So
yes,
they've kind of established. This is like.
But this is like the first game where they really went ham with like their original characters, and I thought this was a good outing for Respawn.
Nice, and yeah, like say what you will about what Disney has done to the Star Wars IP. Star Wars is an interesting universe to tell a story in. So like, I think with the right writing and the right design, you can make a very good video game.
You can make a colorful character.
Yeah, and that's Turgle. Let's move on to the next one. Shadowheart from Baldur's Gate 3.
Shadowheart is Bay. We can change her.
Okay, so is it time? Is it time to just declare your love?
Listen, similar to the first nominee, if Sam Chandler was here, I would have an ally. But I'm gonna have to argue on behalf of both of us. Look, Shadowheart is one of the main companions in Baldur's Gate 3. You know, she's a little rough around the edge. When you meet her, she's very standoffish, you know. She worships like the goddess of darkness, so she's got a little like edgy goth thing going on, right? Some may refer to her as a goth girlfriend at a point in the story. You could definitely call her that. But I think that's Jennifer English really brings something special to that character, you know. I think when you first meet her on that ship, she is very rude to you, even if you save her life and you guys end up having to work together or not. I mean, you can also just not recruit her because Baldur's Gate 3 lets you do what you want. But if you do bring her with you, she actually has a very cool arc over like the 3 acts of that story because she's like a very like religious, devout cleric to this like goddess of darkness early in the story. You meet some people that are like, those beliefs are crazy, and her arc can kind of fall in 2 very different places at the end of that game. Now, of course, Shadowheart is also quite charming. I may or may not have romanced her in my story. She's a great character. Has some great heartfelt emotional moments throughout that campaign. She also says some of the funniest lines in the game, including "You can't just stick your hand in every strange hole you come across." That was a great one. That's one of Shadowheart's greatest hits. Also in Act 1, she has the line, "Try not to dream about tying me up." Another great Shadowheart line here in the story. So yeah, I mean, just playing that game, every time I logged in and she had the little exclamation point over her head, which meant she had something new to say, my heart skipped a beat. I was like, oh my god, I get to go talk to Shadowheart. So yeah, I think she's without a doubt my favorite NPC in a video game this year, and worthy of consideration for this award. Thank you. I'll rest my case.
Do you have
I,
like a
Same.
6-foot pillow cover
I,
of Shadowheart?
I will say
I would never do such a thing. No, that's just preposterous, though.
for the older people,
Look, I was just being thorough. I was just being
was.
a thorough
That's not something
moderator
that they
of a
sell, is it?
discussion.
Donovan's like, BRB, I need to cancel an Amazon order.
That's not real, is it?
Yeah. Let's just say that there was a clan at QuakeCon called the Waifus for Laifu.
Oh
And
man.
Do you remember them, David?
Gosh.
Oh
remember them?
yeah. Oh yeah.
They'd hook you up, man. If there isn't a commercially sold pillowcase of Shadowheart, I'm pretty sure.
Look, Larry and Suze are still reeling with the success of Baldur's Gate 3. It's only been less than half a year since that game came out. By the end of 2024, I'm sure I'll have all the Shadowheart merch.
There is like definitely a really sad Etsy store out there that you could probably buy. Yeah.
I never
Make a
let the record
Christmas
show
commercial
that I
about
never
that,
expressed. I never expressed interest in such thing. I'm not looking for that.
No, I'm not saying you did. I was just being thorough with my investigation of this NPC and how much you like this NPC.
She's great. What can I say?
So yeah, your heart skipped a beat when there was an exclamation point above your head. That's poetry, Donovan. That is poetry.
no, is that her now? Because I haven't gotten that far in the game yet. Is Shadowheart like her title, or is that like her nickname? Does she have like a real name?
That's her name.
That's her name.
Because when I heard that, I was like, she sounds like a Care Bear. That sounds like someone in the Care Bear group.
I mean, she kind of is a Care Bear when you get her to open up and talk about her childhood.
Some of us know her by a nickname.
She's been given nicknames by the community, some of which I will not say.
No. Let's be respectful of this NPC and move on. Jill Warwick is
moving down in the waifu category.
Yeah, so which of the Final Fantasy 16 advocates want to talk about Jill here?
I put up this nomination, and man, Jill is probably my favorite character in that whole game for a lot of reasons. She's Clive's childhood friend. They come from two different royal families. They both have duties to their families. Some terrible stuff happens, and there's a time skip in the game that we see Clive at adulthood, and we eventually find our way to Jill again. And a large part of Final Fantasy XVI's story is that there are certain humans that are imbued with the power of summons, and those humans are called icons, and it gives them tremendous power. But most of the kingdoms that have control of them see them as tool of wars. They don't even see them as human. And Jill ends up being one of those icons. She's the icon of Shiva. When Clive reunites with Jill, she has been she was basically captured. She was made into a slave, and then they discovered her power and used her as a tool of war. And she's ready to die at that point because it's a miserable existence. And Clive saves her, and then they go on a journey together in which Clive has his own baggage to take care of, but Jill has things that she has to do as well, and she realizes that she can't help Clive as long as she's got the skeletons in her closet that she has. And it takes you on a journey where she steps up and says, I have to settle my business so that I can help you. And it is an intense journey. it is a emotional journey, and it comes to this incredible payoff that ultimately ends up with Jill becoming a strong, sturdy fighter and like her own woman. I think that that is something that kind of it's not always easy to write those kinds of characters because sometimes you end up making them look weak. You end up making them look like an object rather than a person. And I think that the strength of Jill Warwick as a character is in her journey to destroy the things holding her back from what she wants most. I think that's an incredibly emotional journey, and I think that like it made her like one of my favorite. I wanted to keep playing the story a large portion because of I wanted to see where that journey went.
Nice. Ozzy, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I think TJ's made the case for me, so I will move on to the next nomination.
Sweet. Genki. Miles BFF in Spider-Man 2, but also in Spider-Man Miles Morales, the
guy in a
game.
chair. I
Yeah.
love guy in chair, and you know I love his interactions in Marvel Spider-Man 2 with both Miles and with Peter because he's starstruck by Peter. Peter's like the original Spider-Man, and
he wants Pete to think he's cool. He desperately wants Pete to think that he's cool. It's awesome.
And there's that mission that Donovan first alerted us to where where one of Craven's mechanical tigers has kind of gone off the reservation, and you have to go retrieve it. And Peter doesn't know what he's doing, so he calls Genki, and Genki helps him out by how many videos does he upload, Donovan?
Oh god, I don't remember the number, but it was multiple.
It was like 6 digits worth of cat videos that he uploads to this thing, and like Genki's performance during this mission is just can't be understated. He's the absolute best as both Spider-Man's guy in a chair, and for that I love him in this category.
Yeah, and you get to see him more in the real world in this game too, right? He's at Coney Island
at the end of the game when he actually has to be saved, and his interaction with Miles in that scene just is the absolute best.
So adorable. Like, it's just so cute where they're like, he brings up something that happened like 20 years ago or
he
something.
talks about like his life flashing before his eyes, and like Miles is like, dude, calm down. It's like he's telling him this like everything. It's like, oh, and I'm dating what's her name from Kevin. He goes, really? Like, dude, good for you. The absolute best interaction. I love Miles and Genki, and Genki's getting his due in this category. I appreciate that.
Genki and the relationship with Pete in this game is hilarious, and just his constant seeking of approval from the first Spider-Man, right? Like, yeah, I love Genki. I loved Genki in the first time we saw him. I do think that like what he does for them has like been enhanced, right? Like the Friendly Neighborhood Spider app gets updated early on. You have to like get the network back up and running for him, but it just feels like he ties into the narrative and missions of the game more organically this time than maybe in the first time we saw him. But yeah, great character, really funny, adds some comedic relief at times, and he keeps Miles in check too. He's great. I don't think we have anything else to say about him, but Marvel Spider-Man 2 is great, full of some awesome characters. Miles' mother could have also been nominated here, and I think Rio Morales.
I love Rio.
Rio's awesome. In this game, I feel like she's a little bit more assertive and kind of understands what Miles is going through.
Oh, she lays down the law with Peter at one point.
Yeah, that conversation was great, and I love seeing that. Like this, like you see these moments where Mary Jane's conversing with Miles, and then like people from Miles' life are conversing with Pete. I just feel like they push the narrative forward in really interesting ways, and Rio is one of those characters too. So I just wanted to give her a shout out, even though she wasn't nominated in this category. It's kind of like, Shadowheart got nominated in this category, but there's some other NPCs in Baldur's Gate that are also excellent. We kind of limited that to one NPC per game per nomination. Which leads me to one of the more interesting NPCs of this year, Ashley Graham in Resident Evil 4. Ashley was lame in the original Resident Evil 4. There were parts of her that don't hold up well at all. And then there was just parts of her where she was annoying and maybe even just a chore at times in the original RE4. But David and TJ, I know you both played this during the review period, and that was one conversation that the three of us had where you guys were like, hey, here's a big change. And it was Ashley. David, I know you felt pretty strongly about her nomination here. Would you like to talk a little bit more, add a little more color?
Yeah, so earlier this year, Donkey put out a video on Resident Evil 4. You know, a game is big if Donkey makes a video about it. And he shows Ashley turning a wheel and saying, I'm doing my part. And Donkey does his, well, by turning a wheel, his kind of Donkey voice thing. And it's funny. But the thing is, that's not really kind of the zenith that Ashley hits in this game, but it is representative of a major change. Ashley, Luis, all of these other characters from the original RE4 were not characters. They didn't really have personalities. The only one who really had a personality was Leon. But Ashley was definitely problematic. She was supposed to be 19, looked like she was 14. She was annoying, but in her defense, she'd been kidnapped and taken across the ocean to a village full of dead people with tentacles sprouting from their necks. So what are you going to do? Mm-hmm. But in this game, she's really different. She's 21 years old. She's the president's daughter. She was partying, and then she gets abducted. So I feel like the entire time, she's acting the way anyone would in that situation. She's scared out of her mind. And that's the thing. I feel like Leon Kennedy is the action hero everyone wants to be. Ashley Graham is who we would be in that situation. And what's interesting about her is she goes from a damsel in distress, which at the time is understandable. Again, she's in this harsh environment. There's even a point that really affected me where you're running through a storm with her, and she just says in this really soft, scared voice, I want to go home, which is very identifiable. But then over the course of the game, she saves Leon's life on 3 different occasions. She kind of paves a path for him out of a burning house. She's the one who discovers these Las Plagas possessed knights' weakness to blue fire. And then at the end, after Leon has made sure to pull the Plagas out of her, she does the same for him because he's basically dying at that point. And the interesting thing is, in between all those moments, yes, she is the one who's like pressing buttons, pulling levers, getting boosted to crawl over the other side of a door to unlock it. And the thing is, like, Ashley is not an action hero. She's not going to be flipping out of a window, scoring headshots in the air. And what's cool is, again, she goes on this journey from damsel in distress to being really proud of herself for being able to play a part. And she knows that Leon is the cool action hero, and she does crush on him. It's much less than comfortable in this game. But I just thought it was really, really cool to see her go from someone who was just scared and needed rescuing to someone who more than carried her own weight and was even inspired by Leon to want to help people. Like, this guy inspired her to want to do something really positive with her life. And I feel like that's a major change because no character in the original Resident Evil 4 was more than, I would say, one-dimensional. Like, Luis Serra is really cool in this game, but he had much less of a journey to go on because I would even say that most people didn't really feel one way or the other about him in RE4. He did make a lot of the more misogynistic comments. Those have been smoothed out, but he didn't have nearly as much ground to make up as Ashley. I mean, Ashley, people hated her. I would say the other thing is, like, she was more of a chess piece on a board. You could leave her in rooms, kill all the enemies, then go fetch her and just keep playing. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times you could just hide her in a dumpster. And I love that they reference that in this game where the first time you tell her to hide in like a dumpster or locker, she just looks at you and goes, seriously? Like, just kind of making fun of a game mechanic. And I was just really impressed with how Ashley turned out. I think it's that Leon has kind of this hero of time aura where he has a similar impact on Ada, and to see Ashley grow into a person where the RE community is actually saying we want more Ashley. I would play as Ashley in the game. Is a far cry from fuck Ashley. I don't even want to play the remake because Ashley is in it.
And she was like a meme,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
she was a meme. Like Ashley in the original RE4 was memeable, and now she's like actually a cool character with character development, and she's not cringy. Yeah, it's kind of night and day.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should move on. We got one more nominee here. It's Uncle Hinti from Thirsty Suitors. Ozzy, you reviewed Thirsty Suitors for Shacknews. Go for it.
You don't see Uncle Hinti a lot. Like, he's not like a traditional NPC in the sense that you go in and interact with him. He's your hint balloon. The best comparison I would have for him is he's the toasty guy from Mortal Kombat. Every time there's a hint, there's like a tooltip that pops up, he just pops up and he just goes Hinti, and like it never ceases to make you smile every time you see him. You always hope that you'll see him at the end of the game, but you never actually see him in person. But you always see his head pop up, and it's a pleasure every time you see it. Like Asif, you love the guy, right?
I mean,
You're
there's
the guy
something.
that nominated him for the category, of course. You do.
Yeah, but there's like, in immigrant society, there is the concept of the uncle, and not necessarily like blood uncle, but like just that brown guy who is at the party you call uncle. Uncle Hinti reminds me of every uncle from my life. He's like, I have to. You should really look at a picture of the guy, because like they crushed it not just on how he talks and how he acts, but like
I was curious as to why you nominated him over Auntie Chandra, because I think Auntie Chandra was somebody that I was thinking about, but then you came in with Uncle Hinti, and I'm like, I like the idea, I like the concept of it.
Also that he is a game mechanic. Like, he is literally he is not playable. He doesn't really move the narrative forward at all. He's like one of those traditional NPCs that you would see in an RPG. And he's always there right before these battles, too. Like, he's like giving you a little heads up. The way that they took that concept of the uncle in that society, and like, that is the dude who's going to show up right before you fight to give you some, they're going to be the ones that tell you, hey, you need to tie your shoe, or like, you know what I mean? Like, as a brown uncle, I related to Uncle Hinti in some ways. And also having grown up with brown uncles in my life, like, they used that character for that kind of person, I just think is like so on the nose from these devs. That was why I did it, Ozzy. But yeah,
the way he was used just reminded me so much of Dan Ford in Mortal Kombat as the toasty guy, because that's the way he shows up. He just pops up out of the corner of the screen.
But like, look, I'm posting a picture. I found a good picture of him. I posted it in our general in Slack. Like, just everything about that picture. The mustache, the 5 o'clock shadow, the sunglasses,
the hair, is so perfect.
The chest hair that's showing, like, everything about Uncle Hinti is just so spot on that, like, I almost felt personally attacked. But it's just great. Like, so good. Like, really, 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 really good design of the character.
A+, no notes.
Yeah, that was the minute I saw Uncle Hinti, I was just like, that's awesome. And a very worthy nominee. That game definitely stuck out in some ways, just from a cultural perspective, and Uncle Hinti is just one of those examples where I'm just like, the Leo gif where he's pointing at the TV. Like, yes. That was one of those moments for me where I was just like, you guys at Outer Loop really did something wonderful with this game, and Uncle Hinti just, absolutely love him. I don't think he is gonna win because there's some very good nominees in this category, but wanted to show some love to Outer Loop games, because that was, you look at these nominees, they're all different, right? And I think Uncle Hinti harkens back to that, like, really old definition of what an NPC in a game would be. And I just, absolutely love him. Even, I got more hair than him, luckily. But,
I would hope so.
Yeah. Well, for now. But yeah. Let's what do you say? You want to vote?
Let's do it.
Steve.
I go with Ashley.
Ozzy.
Asa, if you got me right in the feels, I'm going to give you the Uncle Hinty vote.
Nice. TJ.
Jill, she's my ride or die.
Greg.
Oh no, I mean, also kind of sold me an Uncle Hinty a little bit, so I might have to vote for that.
Wow. Okay. I'm gonna hold off my vote. Donovan, is it time to declare your love for Shadowheart?
I have to vote with my Shadow Hearts, and that's who I'm taking. There's no one else I'd rather slowly have my mind devoured by a parasite with.
David.
Ashley.
Okay. Let's get our absentee ballots in here. Bill voted for Ashley. And Sam voted for Shadowheart. And that's the last one I'm looking for.
I think he voted Uncle Hinty.
He
I
did.
think he did.
He did.
Look at that.
How about that?
So right now we have a tie, but I haven't voted yet. So I think I could damn, this is tough. This is really tough.
What's the
'Cause-
scenario?
What do you got, Agent of Chaos?
So like Ashley's an important part of RE4. Right?
Mhm.
Like she's not just some side character. Like it got a 10 out of 10 at Shacknews. It was the first 10 out of 10 game at Shacknews. And Ashley's redesign is largely why. Or at least one reason why. One important reason why that this game, I asked both of you, I'm like, what did they do to make it better than the original? Because if they did that, I thought it was a 10. And this was one of the things that you guys brought up very early on in that conversation. So I could also just vote Shadowheart because I don't want to break Donovan's heart and cause a 3-way revote.
I'll always have her, no matter what wins this category.
Okay. Like Donovan, he voted with his heart. So I think I have to. And I don't think we're going to see a character like Uncle Hinty for a while. So I'm going to vote for Uncle Hinty. Which leads to a victory for Thirsty Suitors and Uncle Hinty.
An upset victory!
Wow. I didn't think I was going to do that good of a job. Like, honestly, did not know that this was going to be where we were.
As the brown uncle really sold this for me. It really did.
I am literally the brown uncle. So, like, when I saw another brown uncle, I was like,
that's as compelling
wow.
an argument as it gets for me.
Well, I appreciate it, guys, because I really do think Thirsty Suitors has done a lot for representation this year, and not just race-wise, like gender-wise, sexuality. Like they've done a lot in this game that I think it deserves some praise. Uncle Hinty's hilarious, and like I said, that art, they just nailed it. So congratulations, Outer Loop Games. You've pulled off a huge upset here at the Shacknews Awards, taking home the Shacknews Award for Best NPC of the Year 2023. Congratulations. Wow. What a win for brown uncles everywhere.